All right, let's dive in, fam. Let's get to it. As we get through this, I'm going to tell you right off the rip, any objections that you deal with at all, anything, just drop them in the chat right now. Any objection. I promise that you will not leave here without knowing how to do every single objection, how to handle all of them confidently and successfully. If I cannot handle an objection for you, I'm going to pay you $100. Okay? I will give you $100 for wasting your time. Also known as, there's no way anyone's getting $100 because it's never happened before. But I always say it, just to make it sound sexy. All right, let's talk about it. First things first, some of you are going to ask me about this, so I just want you to be aware of it. You're going to ask me, can I have the slides? Can I have the training? Blah, blah. Yes, you can. You can text me. My high-level robot will send you this. I'm going to have this later in the slides too, so if you're not going to be able to catch it fast enough, don't stress on it. We'll drop it in the chat or whatever, Justin, you can do that, but I'll just have it later. I'm just showing it to you now so you know what you're coming up to. I don't want you to have to try to screenshot every single slide and don't do that to yourself. Just pay attention, be here, be active. We're going to crush it. There's no ulterior motive. What's going to happen when the high-level robot messages you? He's going to ask you to join my Facebook group. That's it. That's all that's going to happen. Nothing else. And then you'll get access to the material in the Facebook group. All right. Let me just ask you, if you want more money, all right, can you drop a 7 in the chat below if you want more money, please? Drop a 7 in the chat below if you want more money. I would expect to see 47s in here.
Yeah, one person just kept typing 7. So yeah, I think they really, really want that.
All right, so here's the thing, right? What I want you to do is I want you to just store this away, okay? So if you want to make more money, I'm going to teach you how to make more money on this call. If you're really paying attention, I promise you will learn that. And then number 2, okay? Number 2, I want you to really consider why you want more money. We're going to talk about that here. Store it away. This is not a red herring. I'm going to come back to it. This is called future pacing or foreshadowing, okay? I'm like a professional book writer now, so I know all about foreshadowing and cliffhangers. Yeah, I'm super smart. All right, let's continue. What's so important about sales anyways, right? Well, first of all, it's how you make more money, right? Everything is sales, by the way, not just financial exchanges, right? Any convincing of any sort of situation of trying to get your way or trying to provide something of value to someone else, like convincing your parents to go out with that girl, or convincing your parents to let you stay out later, or convincing your parents to allow you to drink when you're earlier. You see, I did a lot of convincing of my parents, convincing your principal that you weren't really the one that did the thing that got you in trouble and it was someone else, right? Also kind of some of the things that I did in high school. Anyways, everything is sales, not just financial exchanges, okay? Also, ChatGPT, AutoGPT, they're not going to make sales for you anytime soon. I know you want that. I know you're looking for it, but it's not going to happen. You need to learn how to be a great salesperson. VSLs, webinars, they won't do sales for you consistently. I'm not going to say they won't ever do sales for you. That would be foolish. Obviously, Russell Brunson has built an entire business based off of this. There's lots of marketers that do it very well. I am definitely not one of those people. I think selling with VSLs and webinars is really hard, but also very expensive. So even if you're good at it, it's very expensive. At least learning how to do sales in general is really valuable. Don't just expect VSLs or webinars will do it. A lot of people will say to me, Justin, oh, but can't I just delegate sales? I'm not good at it. First of all, don't ever say you're not good at sales. There's a very strong belief in self-fulfilling prophecies in psychology. When you consistently express to yourself that you're not good at something, well, obviously, you're not going to be good at it because you're already unconsciously and consciously giving up on trying in the first place. You can't delegate sales without a process in place. At the very least, you'll learn the process today. And even if you do plan to delegate sales long-term, sales is the single most valuable asset for entrepreneurs to master. The more that you understand how deal making works, the more that you understand how to communicate with your prospects, the more that you understand how to express value and the ability to get people to pay you is unbelievably necessary for your success long-term as an entrepreneur. It's how you open doors, how you create more financial wealth for yourself and others. It is such an important asset, and I'm going to teach you how to be better here today. All right. Who am I? First of all, I am the co-founder of a marketing agency mastermind to help digital marketers just like you. Prospecting on Demand is my company. Justin has gracefully and gratefully, I'm grateful for him, sponsored our events. He will be sponsoring our event in Detroit, the Midwest Mastermind, next month. I'm so excited about that, Justin. Can't wait to see you. I've run a personal injury attorney agency since 2010, so I've been in the space for a really long time. I didn't even know about the agency for the first 4 years. If you're wondering, wow, Alex, how did you not know about it? That's a conversation for another time. It's a fun conversation. Please feel free to ask me. I've sold well over $17 million of marketing and coaching products over the last decade plus. So I'm really confident in my sales ability and in coaching you. I did have open heart surgery to fix a birth defect in 2020. 0 out of 5 stars. Do not recommend it. Heart surgery sucks. good to be alive. If you're healthy, then you're actually wealthy. That's actually the most important thing. Also, if your parents are alive, just send them some love today. It's really important. Don't ever forget that. I'm going to cry before we even start the damn meeting. I've helped over 1,000 agencies hit 6 figures in profit, hundreds more hit 7 figures in revenue. And then in all caps with periods to like make it like really exclamation. I love coaching sales. So let's do it. Let's talk about sales. Let's coach some sales. Does it work? Yes, it works. Okay, cool. Awesome. I'm not going to like, you can read it. It works. You know, Justin wouldn't let me be on here if it didn't work. Here's what we're going to cover. The one call close recap. You're going to get the one call close training in the sales script today. You just text that number and you'll get it. I'll have the number again at the end of here. We're going to talk sales psychology, the 4 tips for closing mastery, how to sell one-to-many versus one-to-one. We're probably going to skip that honestly today just because of time, so we can focus on how to handle objections. If you want to talk selling one-to-one versus one-to-many, we can probably talk about that at a different time. It's not super important for today. This is the cheat sheet that you'll get. It has Loom videos of me like covering like each of the frames for the calls. This is a great framework. It really works. It's super effective and will help you a ton. Again, I'll give you the number later. Okay, let's just talk about what the one call close is not. First of all, this is not a Harry Potter spell to automatically get paid. There's no like abracadabra, alakazam, credit card. That would be really cool. But I probably wouldn't tell it to you, even though I love you, you guys, but it's just not a thing, right? Not a real thing. This is also not a detailed script that has to be followed inherently. If you're following a script currently in your sales process, you are effectively a robot. Don't be a robot, be a human being. It's a lot better, right? Really, the easiest way to explain this, particularly to the people on this call, why do you guys work with IPPC, right? Outside of the results, right? Outside of the results that they provide, Justin is such an enigmatic character. He's such an affable human being, right? Like he's such a good person. The reason why is because he would never, ever, ever read a script. He's just going to always be authentically himself consistently. And that's why him and I resonate with each other, because I like to make fun of myself for being bald. I like to make comments that are a little bit outlandish, right? I like to dance on stage poorly like Justin does as well. And I like to be fans of bad sports teams like Justin does with the Boston. Oh, you like that? Yeah.
That one hurt.
That was rude. But in general, joking aside, right? It's like, you got to be you. The better that you can be you, the best you can be. And I'm going to show you how to do that today without being a script. Don't be Alex. Don't be Justin. Be the best you. That's really the best way to sell. This is also not a manipulative used car salesman approach to sales. That's the icky or yucky part. It's not that. So don't stress on it. And most importantly to me, this is not a method where you're going to force a square peg into a round hole, right? This is the process where you know someone's the right fit for your product and you're trying to sell them. You just need to figure out how to bridge that gap. Don't sell people things that are not good for them because you want their money more than they want their money. That's inappropriate. You don't want to be treated that way. I don't want to be treated that way. Don't use the training for it because you frankly can, but that's why it's so important that you don't. Okay. Why is psychology so important in sales? Psychology is a study of the human mind and how it functions. Did anyone here study psychology in school? Can you drop a 1 in the chat if you did? I'm really interested. I did graduate from University of Central Florida with a psych degree, honors. Woohoo! I'm super smart. I loved psychology. It was a lot of fun. I love how like people make decisions and understanding how decision making is so important to closing. And then learning how to really influence decision making is really a key to success, because most of the time decision is really indecision. That's pretty much the majority of sales conversations. They don't end with a yes or a no. They end with a maybe pretty much 90% of the time. That's the most common decision, which is indecision, right? And so I'm going to help you get more decisions, even no's, by the way. More no's is better than more maybes. I'll explain that here as we go through. The use of psychological tools that I'll be sharing with you today are going to be shortcuts to get your desired outcomes ethically. That's the key. All right. All right, let's dive on in. Let's talk about the 80-20 of sales psychology. Again, for those of you that don't know what 80-20 is, one, how are you in business for however long you've been and don't know what that is? But in general, it's the Pareto principle, okay? It's what 20% of effort am I putting in that's getting 80% of my results, okay? It's a prioritization technique. When you get to a place in your life and business where there's just too many balls to juggle personally and professionally, you have to be auditing how you're spending your time that's getting you the best outputs. That's the 80-20. So what I did is I have a lot of training. I could do 300 tips in sales or more, but I'm just giving you 4 so you can really implement it and be successful. These are the smallest hinges that swing the biggest doors. That's the idea. Let's start with number 1, which is the why are you on this call frame? Let me clarify something as we go through it. Just because this is number 1 doesn't mean it's the number 1 most important. That's not what I'm saying. I'll tell you which one is the 199 as we go through it, okay? Why are you on this call frame? Let's talk about the psychology of the why are you on this call frame, okay? The first thing to note is understanding what this frame is. Now, the frames that I do in the one call close look like this at the beginning. The time result frame and then the why are you on this call frame. The time result frame looks something like this. 3, 2, 1. Hey, Justin, thanks so much for your time today. I really appreciate it. Ultimately, we'll chat probably like 30 to 45 minutes. I want to learn more about IPPC, see what your goals are, what your obstacles are, and how I can potentially help you. If I feel confident that I can help you, I'll be more than happy to point you in the right direction with the insight I can. And if we can work together, I'll tell you all about that. If I don't think I can help you, I'll just point you in a different direction and give you the best advice I could going there. Cool? Awesome.
Sounds
What
great.
that does is just give them clarity on how long the call is going to be and what the result of the call is going to be. So you don't get two of the dumbest possible objections, which is, hey, I only got 10 minutes left. How much more do we have? And you have 30 minutes still left. Worst. Or there's an offer on this call. I didn't expect that, etc. It just means you did bad framing. Okay. The time result frame is good, just nowhere near as important as this next one, which is the why you're on this call frame. That looks like this. 3, 2, 1. Hey, Justin, look, like I said, I'm grateful for your time. Time is the most valuable asset we have. Time you're spending with me is time you're not working on your business, not with your clients, not with your family, not watching the Boston Bruins. You're here with me today. I want to make sure I deliver for you. What are you hoping for from this call so I can make sure your time is worthwhile, is spent correctly? And then what ends up happening is you're positioning to this prospect that time is the most valuable asset they have, not their money. When people come on calls, they're focused on this. They're focused on their credit card. They're like, this guy just wants my money. This lady just wants my money. But what you're doing is you're realizing that they're already giving you the most valuable asset they have, okay? I told you guys this before, and I'm going to leverage it again. I had open heart surgery when I was 29 years old. I'm 31 years old. My wife was 5 months pregnant when I had this surgery. My son, my only child right now, I love him to death, was born 117 days after my surgery. You think I gave about money? Think I cared at all about how much money I had, how much money I was going to make when I was going wheeled into the hospital? The only thing I wanted to do was wake up and see my wife, see her belly, meet my son. Those things happened. People don't focus on these things in life because we prefer to forget that we have a terminal death diagnosis. Sorry to be morbid, but that's the reality of life. And so when someone's giving you time, time is not a renewable resource. It's something that automatically none of you can get this time back that you're giving to me today, and I can't get this time back, right? So I'm very grateful for the time that you're giving to me, and I hope that you reciprocate that gratitude as well. It's the same thing on every single sales call. Someone is giving you their most valuable asset for $0, yet they're focused on the credit card. That doesn't make sense. So switching their process in their mind to realize, why am I on this call, gives you clarity on 3 really important things: their intention, desired outcome, and urgency. I'm going to give you 2 examples on the complete opposite ends of the continuum. There's people that get on calls because ... ellipses. Let me explain to you what that means. So you use that frame, and someone like Justin, for example, might be like, oh, well, like you reached out to me. I don't know. I just thought it'd be interesting to jump on. And what you realize then is that the prospect is not at all intentional about working with you. There is no clear outcome or urgency. They're just shopping around, kicking rocks, wasting time, not clear on how they're spending time. Let's go to the complete opposite end of the spectrum. Someone that is extremely intentional, and they would say something like this: oh, that's such a good question, Alex. I saw your ad related to how you can help an agency stuck around $15,000 get to 100K. I need to do that within the next 3 to 6 months because I really have to hire another person in my company so I can step back and spend more time with my family. It's something I've really been looking forward to, and I'm excited to be on this call to talk about it. Oh, okay. Well, we now have an absolute clarity of what we're here for. If you know the intention, desired outcome, and urgency of your prospects, or any of them, it's not necessarily that they'll give you all 3. It's possible that they might only give you desired outcome, right? So they might just say, hey, I'm just trying to grow my business to 50K. They don't tell you a timeline. They don't tell you the intention of this specific call, but any data you have is better than why are they actually on the call, and you don't know. And that's why it matters. And so what you're allowed to do then is respond with confidence and priming the prospect for purchasing later on, which is called seed planting. Priming is a psychological process of using frames, confidence frames, and words that prime someone to utilize that back in a replicated response. So for example, there's a common framework called a heuristic, which is like a mental shortcut. And so for example, if you see blue, 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 blue 100 times over, and then someone later in the day asks you, what's your favorite color? The likelihood of you saying blue is much higher than any other color, even if blue is not your favorite color. It's just a weird psychological hack of how your brain works because of how the neurons and synapses work. It's very interesting stuff. If you're ever interested in looking it up, heuristic is a very fascinating concept in the world. It's why some people are like, man, I've never seen that car before. And then as soon as you see that car, now you see that car 50 times. How? It's just because your brain is now in tune to see that car. And so what happens is, if you know how to use heuristics and you know how to prime your prospects, you can respond to something like this. Hey, I totally hear you. I'm extremely confident that I can help you get to 50K a month in your business. I know that we can do that because we've had the results before. And ultimately on this call, I'll share with you the processes you can take to get there, working with us or not, but I know it will be a good fit. Let's get started. What you just did is frame for them 30 seconds into the call that you're the right fit for them, you know exactly what they're looking for, how you can do it, and they can feel really confident that their time is spent most valuably. And now you've created a very strong bond right away. Please, this is an easy thing to do. Okay, the other stuff that I'm going to share is a little bit harder to do. This is easy. It is not hard at all to ask someone why they're on the call, but I want to challenge you for 1 second before we move off of this. Don't go on your next call and be like, hey, Chelsea, why are you on the call? That's not the frame. The frame is a framing why the time is important, right? So one more time. Hey, Chelsea, I'm so grateful that you're on this call with me. Time is the most valuable asset we have. Time you're spending with me is time you're not with your friends or family, catching up on Game of Thrones or working on your business. You're here on this call, and I really want to use this time appropriately for you. What are you hoping for from the call? Why are you giving me this time so I can help you? Use the frame. Use the frame. Don't just say why you're on the call. It's not going to get you anywhere, okay? Really important. And then just respond with confidence if you have confidence. If they say something completely outlandish and you can't help them, tell them that you can't help them. It's totally fine. All right, number 2. Hey guys, if this is valuable for you, can you drop a 2 in the chat below? Just drop a 2, please.
We should see a flood of those 2s coming in. There we go. There it is.
Love it. Chip went to UCF. Let's roll. Go Knights, baby. Simplified selling. One offer focused on a result. This is so important, okay? This is so important. Let's talk about how decision-making is actually done, all right? There's 2 types of decision-making: explicit decisions and implicit decisions, okay? Explicit decisions is a decision whenever someone makes a conscious decision that combines your beliefs and values to choose a course of action. Implicit decisions is whenever someone relies on a ritualized response, some sort of habit or tradition to cope with a choice between options. So let me give you an example of what I mean by this, okay? Now, the interesting thing is, every human being makes different decisions explicitly and implicitly, even if it's for the same outcome. So for example, I myself am a very implicit decision maker when it comes to clothing. My implicit decision making when it comes to clothing is whatever is the first thing on my in my drawer is what I'm going to wear. My wife is the exact opposite. She's a very explicit decision maker when it comes to her clothing. She's never going to just take what's ever at the top. She's going to look at the color coding and making sure what's right. And does this fit today? Do I look good in this? I'm the opposite. I don't care about that. Every human being is different, even for the same type of decision-making for explicit and implicit decisions. But here's the thing, okay? If you don't know how to use this to your advantage in sales calls, you're going to really struggle, all right? Have you ever heard, I need to think about it? Can you send me a proposal? I don't make decisions in one call. Have you ever heard that before? Just drop a 1 in the chat if you've ever heard it. Cool. Okay, awesome. Well, here's the thing, all right? Implicit decision is when you're causing overwhelm. When you are causing overwhelm, that is ultimately when people are going to have a hard time. So I'm going to come back here and give you an example. All right, Justin, play a quick game with me. Okay.
Let's do it.
Really simple. No tricks, I promise. Just super easy. Justin, do you want a Snickers? Yes or no?
Yes.
How many options did I give you, Justin?
1.
Okay,
well, yes or no would be 2.
How many? Okay, cool. So you get the point. So how many? I gave you 1 option to choose from, but you have 3 potential options to say back, which is yes, no, and of course, maybe. Let's go with another one. Justin, do you want a Snickers or a Twix?
Twix.
How many options did I give you?
2.
But how many options do you have to respond to potentially?
6.
6. Yes, no, maybe to Snickers. Yes, no, maybe to Twix. But also there's an uncalculable, that's a hard word to say. Incalculable. I'm going to stop. I'm not going to try it again. One more time. Incalculable. Okay. I don't
there it is. I think you got that one. You got it.
We're close. We're good. We're go. There's a math that you can't calculate. That's better. Related to the compare and contrast, right? Because now you have to like, well, Snickers has this and Twix doesn't have that, you know, the wafer, but the caramel, but this has the peanuts. It makes it more complicated than just yes, no, maybe on both sides. And so what ends up happening is for most people making offers in marketing, they're very oftentimes making multiple offers and allowing the person on the other side to get confused and overwhelmed, which is why you're constantly hearing these objections, because you're not showcasing confidence by simply saying you should be investing into Google PPC to get this result. It's $2,500 a month. It's the right fit. Not SEO, Google, PPC, this. And the crazy thing is, and I'm going to stop sharing my screen for a second to explain this, okay? There's a concept, Justin, that I find very fascinating in psychology, which is the perceived value of complexity. The perceived value of complexity is the exact opposite of what actual value is. So for example, anyone that uses Go High Level, for example, on here, if you go into the Go High Level group and someone posts a screenshot that's like zoomed out by 100, and it's a workflow that all you can see are just little boxes and arrows. That's all you can see, boxes, arrows, and circles. You can't even see what's inside of it. You just post that, and there's like 70 of them, okay? And be like, hey, does anyone want my new workflow? The post will explode. Literally thousands of people will post on it. Why? How does that work psychologically? It's the perceived value of complexity. Well, if there's so many boxes, it must be valuable because they put so much time and effort into it. But the great irony of it is there's this concept of Occam's razor, right? The simplest answer is always the right one. The crazy thing is simple never breaks. Custom and complex always breaks, but the perceived value of complexity makes it harder for human beings to say no to. And so that's what happens in sales, especially with marketing. What you're going to end up doing is being like, we provide a comprehensive service. We do a call center. We do SEO. We do social media management. We follow up with all your leads. We do PPC. And then you're wondering why they're ending the calls with, I need to think about it. It's because you're overwhelming them because you think that it's valuable to share all these things, but it's not. It's the exact opposite of that. What we want to do is very simply explain one offer, because every single offer has three potential responses. It has a yes, it has a no, it has a maybe. And when you provide multiple offers, multiple avenues, especially in SaaS 2, where we have a silver package and a gold package and a bronze package, it lacks confidence on both parties. The salesperson doesn't have confidence to tell the prospect what to do. And the prospect is probably thinking, how the fuck am I supposed to know which one to do? That's why I'm on the call with you. You're supposed to tell me. Now, they usually don't tell you that. They just think about it in their head, either consciously or unconsciously. When you go into too much detail on deliverables, also, it causes overwhelm. When you're like, well, we're going to do 17 split tests of your ad set. We're going to try 17 different headlines, 6 different images, a video ad in there. They don't care. Let's use the plumbing metaphor as a quick example, okay? No bad juju for any of you, but I just want to throw this out at you and see if this makes sense, all right? If you guys are enjoying this, just drop a 5 in the chat. I want to know this is valuable to you, okay? Really quick on this, all right? If your toilet breaks at your house, okay? Your toilet breaks at your house, you call a plumber. The plumber says, I can come over and fix it in one of 3 ways. Justin, I can fix it with my hand, I can fix it with a vacuum, or I can fix it with a snake. What do you normally say? You probably say, I don't care. I just want it fixed as fast as possible. I don't want it to break again, and I want it to be as inexpensive as possible. Now, people will usually say cheap, but I'm very cognizant of the difference between inexpensive and cheap. Different story, but try not to use the word cheap. Cheap is lower quality. Anyways, not the point. The bigger thing is, that's the same thing with marketing. They don't care if you're doing Google PPC, SaaS, SEO, Facebook. They just want more jobs. They just want more money. They just want more opportunities. They just want more patience. They don't care how it's done. If you somehow were able to get Harry Potter owls to like get them prospects delivered to their door, they would do it as long as it's legal, right? As long as it's legal. And some people even don't even care if it's legal, but that's not for today. But in general, right? They don't care. So they don't want you to go into the deliverables. Imagine going to a restaurant, last metaphor on this. Imagine going to a restaurant and being like, I would like the filet mignon. And the waiter says, okay, great. The filet mignon is sourced directly from Japan. We get the Wagyu steak, we cut it, we sear it for 36 hours. And then they just start talking to you for 10 minutes about all the deliverables of this steak. You're like, yeah, I didn't need any of that. I just wanted the steak. Like, what's happening here? Too much detail in the deliverables causes overwhelm. And the reason why you're doing it is because you're uncomfortable without showing complexity. Remember, understand the difference of what actual value is. Simplicity is the sale, not complexity, all right? And simply put, overwhelmed prospects don't buy. So if the majority of your calls are ending with a maybe, what really is happening is you're triggering implicit decision-making. Because again, implicit decision-making is a ritualized response. What's the most common ritualized response in decision-making? Procrastination, by far. It's why everyone resonates with this comment. Hey, babe, what do you want to do for dinner tonight? I don't know. What do you want to do? Why? Why does that happen? There's not new restaurants opening every single day. We're not moving every single week. Why does that always happen? It's because it's an implicit decision. It's because it's just easier as a habit to say, I don't know, what do you want to do? It's just easier because procrastination is the most common implicit decision. So if you're getting a lot of maybes on your calls, it's likely because you're causing multiple offers or overwhelming them with too many deliverables. Simplify it and speak with confidence. Okay. Does this, guys, make sense? This is an easy thing to switch on your operational format of your sales. Audit one of your calls. Look at how much complexity you're sharing on the call and just simplify it. Simplify it. It makes a huge difference. And if you're worried about like oversimplification, just use the framework I shared. Like, hey, Derek, I used to share like so much detail on this, but I realized like when I go into detail, it's just this perceived value of complexity. The thing you care about most is this result, right? Get more jobs. Cool. We can do it for you. Here's how we've done it in 3 steps, not 70 steps. Pretty simple. All right. The 80-20 of sales psychology, the don't ask, tell closing frame. All right. So you guys asked, like, what's the 99-1? Like, what's the one thing that's most valuable in sales? It's this. If you do anything from this training at all, it's this. This is the one thing that you have to do that will make by far the biggest difference in your sales moving forward. By far. Nothing will ever come close to this. It is also by far the most uncomfortable thing that you will do. So just want you to feel comfortable with that as we go into it. I'm a huge believer of the more uncomfortable you are, the more comfortable you become. Seneca, the great Stoic, said something that I really believe in so much. It really helped me through my surgery a ton. Keep this in mind. And I use it just because it's a leverage point that most 31-year-olds simply did not have a life-altering heart surgery that I did. And I use that as leverage to help people at any walk of life and any age to avoid mental frustration and stress. Seneca said that we often suffer more in imagination than we do in reality. And so what happens is when I had to wait 10 months from December 2019 to October 2020 because of COVID, I had to wait 10 months before my surgery. The surgery was not the bad part. The waiting for 10 months and my mind telling me all the bad things that were going to happen was the real problem. And I suffered significantly more in my imagination than I did in reality. And yeah, obviously it sucked, but I'm fine. I'm good. I'm alive 2.5 years later, and I'm so grateful to be alive. And I just want you to know that when you hear this training I'm about to give you, particularly on this piece, you're going to fall prey to that. You're going to fall prey to like, oh my God, that's so scary. Oh my God, it's going to be terrible. It's not. It's going to be great. You're going to fucking crush it. You're going to do awesome. I promise. I promise. I promise. I promise. Okay? Let's just talk about some common closing lines. What is stopping you from getting started today? What do you think, name? Are you ready to get started? Or my personal favorite, also known as least favorite and most hated, it's $2,500 a month with a one-time setup fee of $750. But if you start today, I'll waive the setup fee and lock you in for 6 months. How does that sound? These are terrible. Do any of you use these common closing lines? Drop a 2 in the chat if you do, please. Any of you use these horrendously bad closing lines?
There will be no shaming. Don't.
I'm lying. I'm shaming the crap out of you. No, I'm just kidding. I'm not going to do that. All right. Secretly, I will, though. Let's talk about ACT, okay? Not the tests. You're welcome. ACT for closing success. This is easy, all right? You need authenticity, you need confidence, you need transparency. Authenticity is the truth behind your words. Confidence is your belief that the promise you are making to someone is actually going to happen to the best of your ability. And transparency is the amount that you are willing to share, pulling the curtain back. So here's the thing on each of these elements related to the ACT, okay? Authenticity, most people that are buying from someone believe they're lying. The salespeople are lying. Confidence normally seems to be fake. Transparency is never shared because you don't only want to share roses and daisies. You only want it to be rainbows. Nothing bad could possibly happen. That's the opposite. You want to be transparent about the things that they have to do. Think of it this way in a personal training metaphor. It's the easiest way to understand it. If you go to a personal trainer and say, I want to lose 100 pounds in a month, you would expect that any reasonable, respectable personal trainer would say, I can't do that. Even if the person said, I want to lose 100 pounds in a month and I'll give you $10,000. You would still expect the personal trainer to say, I can't do that. I want your money, but it's impossible. Are you going to cut both your legs off? Like, it's not possible. I can't do that. The thing is, people that buy from people are very skeptical about the promises that are made, because they've heard it before. They've been burned before is a very common objection. And so when you're telling them, like, I just want you to know, like, we have a very good effectiveness rate, but if you don't do these specific things, or if you have this incorrect expectation, or you don't understand that there's also this risk, if you're not sharing those things transparently, you're going to really have a hard time selling. And the more transparent you are, the more comfortable the people will be with you, because they've never heard anyone be transparent. They've never heard anyone tell them transparently, like, of course there's risk. Absolutely, there's risk, but the risk is far outweighed by the reward. It has to be done. I can't just tell you that 100% of our clients win every time. That would be ridiculous. Of course, that's not true. There's variables outside of our control, but we're very confident in what we do, and it's worthwhile, and you have to do it. You don't even have a choice. It's irrelevant. You have to make the risk. I'd rather be the person telling you, though, transparently, like, this is going to work more than likely, but it's also possible that you can have a hard time with it, versus someone else being like, it works every time, 100% of the time, when really in the back end, they're like, 75% effectiveness rate. I'm not going to do that to you. I'm not going to sell it like that. They will respect you more. They will appreciate you more. There's a concept, a cliche that we've all heard since we were little kids. The concept, of course, is if it's too good to be true, then it's not true. Well, when you're selling and you're just saying everything is too good to be true, what do you think the prospect thinks? They're like, this is too good to be true. It's BS. That's how it works. Now, people ask me, like, does confidence really move the needle? So I just want to share this with you. This is one of my appointment setters I used to work with. He could not even set appointments before working with us, let alone closing deals. And he sent me this message. He said, it took me the longest time to immerse myself with this, but you speaking so heavily on conviction and confidence really moved the needle for me. I've cash collected $60,000 this week alone, $15,000 PIFFs on a regular basis. PIFFs is pay in fulls, just like a stupid sales term. But in general, like, confidence makes a difference. Confidence is key. Okay. Now I'm going to share like a confidence frame for you, but I want you to know this. If you're going to watch this training and like listen to this replay like 6 times, know that I'm not trying to give you a script. It just needs to be real, right? And so I'll give you a frame that I do when I speak to agency owners. So I want to give you a framework of saying it's an agency owner that is currently, averaging 20 calls per month, but they are really struggling to close deals. They can't close like even more than 10%. They're just really having a hard time, but they think POD could potentially be helping them, but they think POD, it's an expensive investment for them. They're scared about it. This is what I would say in 3, 2, 1. Look, Michelle, I understand where you're at. I have seen this many times before. I've worked with so many people that have been in this exact scenario. People that have a great offer, that deliver great quality results, that are good human beings, that have desire to truly help people, but struggle to close deals for whatever reason, whether it's pricing on the offer, discomfort in sales, struggling with the framework of how to handle it, not knowing how to handle objections, not feeling comfortable handling objections, not dealing with pitch decks, whatever it may be that you are currently struggling with on your calls. I could not express to you with more confidence that this is absolutely a no-brainer decision to work with us at POD. We are the best in the world at this. We audit your sales calls. We work with you one-on-one to break down your pitch, to review your offer, and to give you the confidence needed to express to your prospects the same way I am expressing to you that they have to do it. And if I didn't do this, I would be doing you a disservice and myself a disservice. This is a no-brainer. It is the right investment for you. It is the thing you should do without any qualms, without any hesitation. I truly believe that we should absolutely work together. That's a frame. It might be different if I did it again. It might be different in some ways, but you have to do it for you. You can't fake authenticity, confidence, and transparency. It's whatever real. And probably the first time you do it, you'll bungle it. It will sound shitty. You'll feel weird, but it doesn't matter because soon you'll feel empowered. You'll feel comfortable to say, you're asking me as an expert, transparently, to tell you whether or not you should make this investment. And of course I have bias. Absolutely, I want you to pay me. But the truth is, the victory isn't getting paid. The victory is getting the result. That's why I know you got to do this. Makes a difference. Okay, let's talk about some transparency tricks, some like little frames that I really like. Fast forward to the end of the call and trust me. All right, just want to touch on this very fast. If you're ever on a call and you feel really comfortable with the prospect and you already know that the right fit 10, 15 minutes in, just pull one of these. 3, 2, 1. Hey, Derek, I'm going to ask you a weird question. But whenever you're selling solar, right, to a prospect, you ever been in a scenario where you're like, just early on in the conversation, and they're asking you questions about, is it a good fit for us and yada, yada, and you just know that it's the right fit. And you were just sort of like, man, I wish we could just fast forward to the end of the conversation and trust me, and we're just doing the solar work. You've ever been there? Oh my God, Alex, all the time. Happens all the time. Can I tell you something, Derek? Yeah, what's up, Alex? I'm there with you right now. I wish we could just fast forward to the end of the call and you just work with us. It's a no-brainer for you. Now, we're done with the role play. It sounds silly, right? But here's the thing. It works so well in creating a trust factor for them to resonate with you on, I've been in the opposite role. I've sold and felt very confident that the person I'm speaking to is the right fit. And now you're telling them the same. So what they're doing is they build trust with you to say, that's really interesting. It's unlikely that you'll be able to close the deal right then, but you've built very strong trust and it's a very good frame. The next one, some of the results are cherry picked. This is super valuable related to transparency on results. So I like using this framework 3, 2, 1. Hey, look, Justin, obviously when I share results with you, some of them are cherry picked, right? Obviously, when I share, here, let's just go with this one. Obviously, when I share this one, I'm not sharing the one that said I cash collected $3,000 this week. I'm purposely sharing the one that has the most immense result because I want you to be impressed. But I also want you to understand that even if I did show you one that was only a 3K result or a 5K result, yes, it's cherry picked, but even mediocre results are a no-brainer. Here's how I'll explain it, okay? If I built you an ATM machine, all right, that you put $1 in and you got $10 back out, how much money would you put into it?
All of the money.
Okay, all the money. Cool. Let me also sell you though. What if that same exact machine gave you $2 back? How much would you put in?
Double all of the money.
Oh, okay, cool, great. So here's the thing. I showed you a $1 to $10 roll, right? This is the 1 to 10. But here's the thing. Even if you're getting 1 to 2, it's great, but we're not celebrating when it's 1 to 2. We are constantly looking and striving to get you to 1 to 10. Does that make you feel more comfortable? When you do this with your frameworks, guys, on showing results, you have to remember the purpose of showing results is risk mitigation, making someone feel comfortable that you are helping them get a result because you've done it before. But how humans are, especially people that have worked with other agencies, which at this point, pretty much every single person you're going to speak to has, they believe they've been burnt before. They've seen this trick before. They know it's Photoshop. They think it's AI driven. But when you're transparent about it, it changes everything. If I had a time machine to show you the results, I use this one pretty often. It's just if you feel comfortable with it, 3, 2, 1. Look, if I had a time machine, Michelle, to show you the results in 90 days, if I could show you what would happen if you made this investment, it's a no-brainer. You'd be running through a brick wall to make this happen. I am that confident. Simple little comment. A lot of people tell me, Alex, this is like super uncomfortable for me. Like, how do I do it? Just say that. Be real, be you. Hey, Mark, this is the uncomfortable part for me. Do I have permission to be blunt with you? I've heard that 90% of the truth is easy and 10% is hard. This is the hard part. Can I say it? You need to work with us. You have to. I know you probably have never heard anyone say that bluntly, but you do. It's just absolutely necessary. I know it. Because if I had a time machine, you see the point? See how it all kind of fits together? Whatever fits for you, take the levers, take the pulleys, execute it. And then lastly, just try to avoid, to be totally honest with you, it's a very, very common like filler word for human beings. Me too, by the way. But what it's doing actually is just undermining what you're saying. Like people say all the time, to be totally transparent. It's like, well, does that mean that you were not being transparent before? Right? Most people won't call you on it, but it's definitely a weird thing. So you just want to kind of catch yourself on that. All right. Last bit here. Don't settle for the surface. Why? Hey, who remembers this from earlier? Anyone remember that they want to make more money? Cool. Well, here's the thing. Everyone wants to make more money. But we're more inclined to make decisions based on fear of loss rather than prospect of gain. Yet, when everyone says they want to make more money, they're selling based off prospect of gain consistently, over and over and over and over. So let's talk about it, okay? Wanting more money is not enough. Think about it for 1 second. I want you to close your eyes if you're watching this with me. Just close your eyes for 1 second. I'm going to ask you a quick prompt. Why do you want more money? How many of you right off the rip know exactly, oh, I wanted to buy that G-Class Mercedes-Benz? Or more of you are probably just in this amorphous phase of well, of course I want more money. We live in a capitalist, imperialist society. More is the answer always. Of course it's more. Not more because I want something specific. It's more because I want to acquire more. But when you do that, then there's actually no real urgency. Because when you speak to any person that says they want more money, veiled in any other term, like I want more jobs, I want more opportunities, I want more patients, I want more listings, I want more brokerages, whatever it is, what they're really saying at the end result is I want more money. But you don't even know why they want more money. And the crazy thing is, they don't know why they want more money. When I do this training, all right, and I have more time, and I ask people to actually write down why they want more money, it's unreal. But more than 80% of the audience, most of the time, have no fucking idea why. Damn it, I almost didn't curse the whole time. I was really
You're so close. You're so close.
So close. But in general, right? Most of the time they don't know. They have no idea. They're just I want more because no one's ever asked. They never even considered. And it's the same thing with your sales calls. Why do they want more money? What are they going to do with that money? How will that money change their life? Dig deeper and frame it for them. Hey, Dr. Robinson, when I speak to doctors like you and I work with them, everyone says they want more patients, but I always ask them why. Do you know why? Oh, just want to grow the business. It's good for ego. It's good for, opportunity for my family. Right. But is the urgency there, Dr. Robinson, if for just saying more for the sake of it, Like, I feel like I can make a bigger impact if you understood exactly why, so that we have the stakes at hand. Like, why? What will it do? Let them see if they can come up with something that's valuable to them on the fly, or learning how to frame it for them. And this is the key, okay? Urgency comes from clarity on goals and obstacles. Everyone loves BMCs, right? Bitch, moaning, and complaining. People love doing it. Me too, by the way. So don't worry. I'm not saying I don't do this. I do this a lot. Meaning people have a lot of clarity on their obstacles. People know their problems all the time. They love talking about it. Clarity on goals. What do we do for goals? More. What? What? Imagine if it was the opposite, right? It's like goals. I'm like very clear. I want this and this and this and this exactly in this time frame, et cetera. And then what's my problems? Oh, I don't know. I just have problems. It's the exact opposite. Goals is more, obstacles are, these are the exact problems I have. So strange. Urgency comes from both, not just one. Okay. So maybe learning some of the niche examples would be really helpful. Maybe a roofer wants to hire another contractor to do the work. Frame it like this. Hey, Chris, have you ever considered that maybe by getting more roofing jobs, you'd be able to hire another contractor that would do all the work? You've been in this business for 20 years. You've been on how many roofs? Do you ever want to stop doing that? And what you just did maybe is unlock something so deep in their unconscious, like a Pandora's box that they haven't considered since 15 years ago, because they just thought this is the way. Mandalorian reference there.
There you go.
Right? I don't know how else to do it. I'm the one that does the jobs. Maybe a dentist wants to hire a new doctor and take care of patients. Maybe they've been in dental for too long and they don't want to look at another damn filling. Maybe a real estate agent wants to buy a more luxurious home so they don't feel they don't feel imposter syndrome, excuse me. Maybe an HVAC contractor has been working his whole freaking life just to retire his wife. Maybe a restaurant owner wants to open up a second location to give it to his kids. What's the real why? What's the actual reason they want more money? The more clarity you can get on that or give them, the better you have a chance of actually closing deals. It makes a huge difference. It really does. And then the next piece is just understanding freedom, right? Everyone, of course, wants more money, but we also crave more freedom. Every single entrepreneur Justin and I have ever worked with says, I want more time freedom and more financial freedom. And yet we just skip time freedom like as soon as we start running business in favor of just more money, more money, more money. Well, what does freedom do? It gives you the freedom of choice, travel freedom, freedom to do what they want in their business. Can your offer help them do that? And if not, why are you talking about this with them? They need to know what you can provide to them outside of just 20 more patients a month. That's not selling for the service why. Okay. Let's just talk about a couple quick things as we close out here, and then we'll do the objection handling. I think we're good on time. It's like 12:50. Yeah. Crushed. Selling the right way will make you more money in the long run. Selling the way you want to be sold is key to your success. That is important. Do not sell the product with the highest profitability to you. You need to sell the product that serves the prospect best. Read that again. Don't sell the highest priced product for price anchoring. Don't be like, I'm going to go in there and price them a $5,000 offer so I could trick them and then tell them it'll be $2,500 for the other one. That is shitty salesmanship. It is con artistry. It is garbage. You don't need to do that. I promise you are better than that, and your prospects are smarter than that, and you're fine. You don't have to do it. Just sell the product that serves the client best, because that's where you can come from a place of confidence and authenticity and transparency, because that's how you sell. Don't fake confidence to sell a product you know won't work. Some people are like, you can't fake confidence. That's horseshit. You can definitely fake confidence. I've been able to fake confidence many times in my life. I've absolutely sold products that I should not have sold to people that should not have bought it. That's my fault. These are lessons that a young Alex had to learn that hopefully I can teach and explain to you. It doesn't make me a bad person. It's just I utilize skills and put myself above a prospect, which is not fair because I don't want to be sold that way. I'd be very disappointed if I was sold that way right now. That's the truth. And then remember the ACT method. I love Ted Lasso, probably my favorite show. Anything that's just radical positivity is totally my thing. And there's a comment in the show that says, doing the right thing is never the wrong thing. I'm a really big believer of this. It's a really important core tenet of my sales coaching. That's the right thing to do. All right. If you want the training, you want the assets, you want all the insights on sales, just text me 1CC. And if you can include your name, that would be helpful. If you don't, we'll just text you back and ask you what the name is. It's just an automation through High Level for transparency. If you don't know what High Level is, are you living under a rock? Like what? What? Anyways, you can just text me. That's the number. I'll give you the scripts for the one call close and happily help you with any objections. But yeah, that was my time. If you enjoyed it, please drop a 7 in the chat. I really am grateful for it. Thank you so much for joining us. Let's do some objection handling.
Yeah, before we get into that, can we I got 2 questions that came in throughout. I didn't want to interrupt your flow on those.
Hit me.
Figure we end up let those go, and then people get ready to do some objection handling. So get those in the back of your head. Write them down, do what you got to do, and then but listen to the answer to these questions too, because they're going to be helpful. So this one's from another Alex Zalamov. Hopefully I pronounced that right. I'm going to call you Alex Z. With the zillions of agencies out there doing the same thing, how do you have a zillion? How do you have any suggestions on, or what are your suggestions on positioning your services as different, better when prospecting and pitching, so you don't come across as just another lead generator?
Such a good question. Okay, so I just want to touch on market saturation, right? So there's a roughly, based off Apollo's stats, roughly like 80,000 marketing agencies in the United States, okay? The number of small businesses in the United States is like 250 million, something around that number, okay? That was like a Ryan Dice stat from like probably 4 or 5 years ago, so I'm sure it's changed a little bit, but it's close enough, you know, to like get some insight. So I just want to say the numbers again, just so we're clear, okay? 80,000 marketing agencies, 250 million small businesses. Okay, market saturation is in your head. Social media is built into a way that you see people that are like you, right? It's the same problem with like media. Don't worry, we're not going to get into politics, right? But there's a problem with media related to like, why does someone on the left consistently see all the stuff that's on the left? Why does someone on the right consistently see something that's on the right? It's because that's how the platforms are made. The platforms are made for you to want to go on the platforms. And so they connect you with more people that are like-minded. So when you join Facebook groups that are in, you know, that are doing the same offers as you, or webinars that are teaching you marketing services, you're like, oh my God, this is so saturated. It's really not saturated. That's the truth. But in general, that wasn't the question. So I just want to touch on that really quick, but it's not really the question. Your question is, how do you differentiate yourself? And so here's the thing. You differentiate yourself, first of all, by having consistently good quality services, right? If you're working with IPPC, you already have that massive advantage because they're amazing at what they do. And they're a really good company in terms of delivering consistently quality work, right? So that's a big difference. The other big difference is utilizing the training and sales that I'm using here. A lot of salespeople in the industry are just focused on how do I make the dollars? How do I make the money, not the result? And so framing that, right, being like a client success company and not a client acquisition company is really valuable. Now, if you use this in a frame of an objection, Alex, where someone would say to you, hey, you know, Justin, I get it, man, but like, how are you different than anyone else? This is how I'd handle it in 3, 2, 1. Look, Chelsea, I totally respect that question. Here's the thing. When someone asks me how I'm different than someone else, there might be some sort of expectation that one, like I know everyone that's competing, right? I think it would be foolish for me to say that, you know, I'm the only one that markets for dentists. You know, I'm sure there's thousands of agencies that do that. How many, by the way, Chelsea, like how many calls have you done like this? 8. Got it. Okay. A lot. Got it. Okay. We'll talk about that in a sec. But I mean, in general, it's like, I'm not going to go on here and explain to you like, you know, I'm not going to go on here and say, oh, well, you know, I'm better than company X because of this. I'm better than company Y because of this. I wouldn't do that ever. That's not my MO. I'm not that type of person. I don't feel like that's appropriate or fair or respectful. That being said, though, the thing that really differentiates us is I believe we're really truly a client success company, not a client acquisition company. We really care about delivering the highest quality product. Do people offer Google Ads? Absolutely. Do some offer it cheaper? Probably. Do some offer also the texting and the outreach? Yeah, I'm sure. The differentiating factor is who we are as people in terms of our delivery and our focus and the results we have. I think those are the differentiating factors. But I think the bigger thing to know is I can't possibly know what every other company is doing. I can't, right? I have a pretty good understanding of the market, but I can't possibly know. What I can know is what you're specifically looking for in terms of a differentiating factor, what you heard from the other 8 calls you've done where you ultimately didn't make that decision. Like, why? Why haven't you made a decision yet? If you tell me that data, I'll be able to better support and service you to get clarity on exactly what you're looking for and what differentiates you. And I can tell you, even though of course I'm biased, right, that I believe we're the best in the world at what we do, if someone makes the pretty much identical offer as me and it's less expensive for you, I have to do my due diligence to appropriately tell you, I mean, you should work with them. I hope that's not the case, but like, if you trust me enough to let me see their offer, their framework, whatever it was that they brought to the table for you, I could tell you what's different or not. And if not, then I can only really speak in ethereal terms, esoteric terms. That's the frame. There's one other thing, Alex, that I would do. I'd have a slide like this. Okay, so I have a slide deck. And it runs like this. Okay, so you go from this slide, like this is one of the things we do, lead tracking and nurture attribution, and then 3, 2, 1. Hey, so Michelle, basically one of the main things that I see, you know, my clients or prospects ask all the time is like, how do you differentiate yourself? And I know that that's a question that a lot of people have, But what I want to do is I just want to share with you some of the baseline things that I think really makes us different than anyone else. First of all, I don't know necessarily like any of the competitors by name. I'm not going to like throw anyone under the bus. I would never do that. But in general, let's just touch on these first four things. Obviously, doing the proven PPC advertising copy, ad creation management, the integrated CRM, and the email drip campaigns. Any of my competitors that are legitimate in terms of getting results have to include that, right? Like they have to. Okay. So I'm not going to say that, they wouldn't have it. And if they don't have those things, those have to immediately be neglected, right? The things that we do that are different is we offer this guarantee and we do this specific thing and we have this specific thing. That's how you do it, Alex. Hopefully that helps.
Cool. And great stuff there. And I think what you said too, when you were talking about kind of like the transition to being you're more about the customer experience, not just customer acquisition. So you're getting out of that just like pure lead jockey mode of things and getting out of that. Like you're talking about you're talking about business stuff to them, not marketing stuff, yeah. which is what those folks would be listening to there. So 2 more questions than objections. One of them I think you kind of handled, but Tony, I want to make sure that you get what you're looking for here. So when you have when you have a killer offer, but you're new to a space, so you're lacking maybe experience or credentials in that space, but you're confident in your work, how do you handle it?
Yeah, it's a great question. So there's a couple different ways. Number one, if you use a company like IPPC or anyone that you've worked with that has results, you can leverage their results as your results ethically because they're your company for delivery. You cannot use their results for selling a different product that is totally unethical and totally inappropriate. And a lot of people do it, which is messed up. I can't believe people do that, but look, people do a lot of things for money. It's pretty wild. But anyways, that's number one. Number two, if you don't have that, for example, you have nothing at all, your offer has to reflect that. And so here's the thing, you just be transparent. You explain like, look, Crystal, I'm really confident that we can deliver for you, but I want to be transparent, right? We are new to this space, okay? Now, I have a lot of experience with XYZ, but in this particular offer, it is new. Just as much as you, when you started your med spa, started with 0 clients, I'm starting with 0 clients. I can't magically start with 5 clients that have results. There's no way to do that, right? But what I can do is reflect in my offer risk mitigation to make it a no-brainer for you to make this investment with 2 requests on the back end. When we are crushing it for you, please give me a testimonial so I can use that as leverage to make my offers moving forward. And 2, if there's any ways that you think we can improve the product or experience, please feel free to let me know because I want it to be a great experience. So ultimately, I'm asking you if you're open to it, to trust me to provide this service for you with the understanding that I am not necessarily the most experienced, but I believe I can still do it for you. It's your prerogative whether or not you want to do it. That type of transparency is radical, unexpected, never seen or never spoken. And when especially leveraging it against when they started, because they know, however long they've been in business, they know. Anyone had their first case, first opportunity, first client, no matter what, they always had it. And they always appreciate that first person. That's why a lot of people have the dollar like in their office. It's more like a 90s thing than it is now because cash is not as common. But I'm sure you guys.
What is that weird art on your wall, Dad?
Yeah. Like, what is that green thing? And who's the weird looking dude on it?
Awesome. And then final question here, and you talked about this in kind of not dealing with surface whys and kind of digging into like the 7 layers of why, but how do you have any other tips for asking the business owner to find out their real why or how to frame that if you're having a difficult time?
Yeah. So Mike, the way that you do that is by framing it like this. Look, 3, 2, 1. Do you mind if I'm like ask a kind of blunt or forward question, Michelle? Sorry, I keep using the same fucking names, by the way. I'm so bad at that. My bad. But anyways, do you mind if I ask like a pretty forward question, Michelle? Look, I understand what you're trying to do, right? You want to make more money, right? You want to create more opportunities. You want more jobs. I respect that, right? For the HVAC, you want more jobs. The thing is though, like for me, right? What I'm trying to do is really make a difference for someone. Can I get you more jobs? Yeah, I can get you more jobs, right? But when I spoke to this guy a couple of weeks ago, his name is Derek. I spoke to Derek and he told me that the reason he wanted more jobs was because he wanted to hire another contractor so he didn't have to do all the work himself. And he needed to get a consistently 5 more jobs a month to do that confidently and still make the profit. And when I have that, like the urgency level for him to make the decision and for us to deliver is way, way higher than just, I want to make more money. Cause like everyone wants to make more money, Is there like a reason behind it? Is there something deeper than that? And if you don't know, like, don't stress on it. It's okay. I just want to know maybe if there's something a little bit deeper so I can really like leverage that frankly for your benefit and also mine. The benefit of mine would be like, at the end of this call, whether that's in 5 minutes or 25 minutes, and I tell you to do it because I believe it's a good fit for you, I have a lot more leverage to say, you want to do this because you want to retire your wife versus you want to make more money, right? It's just kind of like everyone wants to make more money, That's it. Super
Awesome.
Transparent, super honest. And people don't ask those types of questions. They're like, wow, it's a crazy question. I'm very down to share that with you.
Awesome. Thank you so much for that one, Alex. Okay, so I know we're a little over on time, but we said we do probably like an hour 10 total. So yeah. All right. Who wants to jump on for some objection handling? Like raise your hand.
And if you don't feel comfortable coming on screen or whatever, and you just want to drop your objection below, just drop the objection. I'll make sure you're handled. Any objection you drop, I'll be able to handle. Don't stress. I saw Mario McCann ask a question before. I don't know if it went away. I can't find it.
Oh yeah, that was I had Mo Adams, Mike. So in the questions there, so actually I have one if you want. Like, I'm not seeing stuff come in yet, but I have a good objection that I think would be a good one for you to start.
Oh, yeah, hit me, Mario. I know you dropped something here about tech or something. I can't find it.
Oh, I don't know if it was Mario. It was
Mario.
Was it Mario? Because I saw Kevin.
Because I know Mario. I've seen his name.
Okay.
Anyways, cool. Hit me with the objection.
Yeah. So the objection is like, hey, I have an in-house team taking care of this already. Like, what do I like? Why? Like, so yeah, I guess
in-house team taking care of this already.
Yeah.
Got it. Okay. Hey, totally makes sense. I would, first of all, try to understand if you already have an in-house team, what like made you want to get on the call? What are you looking for? Oh, this, that, and the other. Okay. Makes sense. Here's the thing. Let me give you clarity. I don't want anyone to lose their job because of me. That's not my intention or goal in any way. That's not who I am. That's not what I stand for. That's not what I'm trying to do. The reality is the data speaks for itself. Okay. Before we get on any calls with anyone, we always do an audit of where we're at. And it's pretty evident right now that the results you're getting are not optimal enough. And so here's how I procure this, okay? Either one, you allow me to speak to your in-house team and consult with them on how to improve better results, or you give me a similar budget for 60 days to prove to you that we can get better results for you. Because ultimately, if I circle back with you in 60 days and you're in the same exact spot, I don't think you'd be satisfied with that. If they say, oh, but I am satisfied with my client's results or my team's results, that's not an objection. That's a no, right? That's oh, okay, I'm good then. Then why are we on the call? I don't know. I just wanted to see. What do you mean you want? I don't understand. Don't be afraid to call people out on that kind of stuff, especially if they're like, oh, I just wanted to see. What did you want to see? If you're happy with your team in-house and they already have the team, like, what were you hoping for? So I better understand. And sometimes you'll realize people are just not pragmatic. People just do stuff. They don't even know what they're doing, honestly. It's pretty wild.
Yeah.
Max capacity can't take on any more value. So Kevin, max capacity can't take on any more value. So again, this is very relevant to why are you on the call, right? Like, what are you on the call for if you're at max capacity? But let's just say for a scenario that they get to a place of like, I want to do this. I just can't right now because I'm at capacity. Let's go with that. So a couple things, okay? Number one, having to shut off online orders. That's cute. I can't take any more value. Hey, I totally hear you. Okay. There's a couple options that you'll have, right? Number one, first of all, if you're at max capacity, I hope you're really proud of yourself. It's a great place to be in. And frankly, I'm happy for you because a lot of the calls I do, unfortunately, are not like that. A lot of the calls I do, people are like desperate, trying to make things work. And it's nice to finally hear someone doing well. So I just hope you're proud of yourself for that. My recommendation is one of two things, right? If this is a season of success, meaning like you're in capacity right now, but it's not consistent over the year, then there's a lot of value of putting a deposit down, holding your spot in line, doing a conversation with me so we can prep and plan for when the season of drought comes. Okay, so that's number one. Number two, the other consideration is if you are actually at max capacity, but you still want to grow, have you considered opening another location? Is that something that you want to do? I can't help you open the second location, but I would love to be the marketing provider for that second location whenever that does open. That would be the next one.
Nice.
Anyone else have any other objections for me?
We got two more in Q&A. This one's a classic. The objection is I need to speak to my team. Let's catch up in 2 weeks.
Cool. Okay. I need to speak to my team. 3, 2, 1. Hey, Paul, I totally hear you on that. Speaking to your team makes a lot of sense. Just for clarity, what are you hoping for your team to touch on? Like, what do you want to hear from them on that? Blah, 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 blah. Gotcha. Okay. Let me just ask you, if you don't mind me being blunt. Let's say your team is all in on it, right? They want to do it. And you were making the decision. Are you interested? Like, is this what you want? Oh yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I want that, Alex. Okay, cool. Last question for you, Paul. What if your team says no? What if they're like, nah, we don't want this. You shouldn't do it. What would you do? Now, the reason you do that frame, this is the same exact frame for wife objection, partner objection, team objection. The reason you do that is because anytime someone is thinking about that framework, the idea of, I want to speak to person X before I work with you, what they're really saying is, in their mind, either they're bullshitting you, hopefully not, or they're thinking they're going to affirm my decision 100%. My wife is going to say yes. My team is going to say yes. No one ever thinks, very weirdly enough, no one ever thinks my wife's definitely going to say no, or my team is definitely going to say no. What's going to happen is they're going to say, oh, yeah, I don't know what I would do if they said it. I'd probably still work. I'd probably still do it. Hey, no worries. Let's do this instead to make it easier. Okay. Let's put down a refundable deposit of $1,000. On this deposit, what we'll do is we'll schedule our kickoff call for 3 days from now. Gives you enough time to speak to your wife or your team or your partner or your parrot or your dog or whatever. Okay. You can talk to whoever you need. And you can affirm the decision with them. You can say, hey, look, I made this decision. I put down a deposit, but it's a break glass in case of emergency deposit. Meaning if I don't feel like it's the right fit, or you guys don't feel it's the right fit, we can get refunded at any time. But I believe in this and I wanted you to have final say before we made the rest of the investment. And then that way you can feel comfortable that you made the decision. You don't have to waffle on it. And you can tell your team that. And so they still have decision-making power and we can get started in the call 2 days from now. Works amazingly well. Deposit frames are crucial. Tony Arnold, I really know this can help, but I'm so busy. I can't look at this for at least another month. Call me back then. All these, by the way, objections are like prospecting objections, not the last one, but all fine. No worries. Hey, again, so if like that's fine. Like, call me back then. Hey, no worries. I can do that for you. My only reason why I was considering starting today was based off of the urgent that you had noted to me, which was you wanted this result within this time frame. If you don't start now, you're going to be behind the curve. Also, to me, though, when someone's talking about this type of legitimate objection, there's no problem with that objection at all. It's a completely fine objection. You keep the data and you hold them accountable. I'll give you this last piece of advice that's really valuable to consider before we go. Leveraging the 4 W's, which I teach you in that frames, right? So again, to get the frames, just go to this, just text me at this number. The 4 W's are: where are you now? Where do you want to go? What's the obstacle? What's the urgency, right? So right now I'm at 5 patients a month. I want to get 10 patients a month. My obstacle is I only get referrals. The urgency is I want to do it within the next 30 days, right? Just making that up off the top of my head. If they give you any objection, right, and you don't close the deal, then you follow back up with them in 60 days. And you're like, hey, 60 days ago, you were at 5 patients a month and you wanted to get to 10. How you doing? Probably at that point, they didn't actually write any of the numbers down or tell you exactly what they really wanted. They just kind of made it up. But now you leveraged data you had from 2 months ago, and they're like, oh my God, I have made no progress. And so their urgency level has increased significantly. And that's why money is in the follow-up. You're not just going to magically close every deal in one call, right? Like it's not, including me, by the way, right? I want to make that point clear. And just to be very transparent as we close out, yesterday I had to do my 3rd call with a prospect for POD, which makes me want to die transparently, but it just is what it is. I had to do a call with a partner, call with them together, and a separate call with one partner, and then they joined. Is that what I want it to be? No. Is that how it had to be? Yes. Is it that big of a deal? No, it's fine. It's all good. It's just, it's just part of it sometimes. So anyways, just wanted to share that piece of insight.
There's one more thing. There was 2 questions that came in that they're literally almost the same, but how do you get past gatekeepers? How do you get to the decision maker? Like, this is a prospecting question, so a little outside of the discussion there, but like, how do you get to them?
Weird. No bodies. He meant nobody. I was like, no bodies. What are we talking about, bro?
No bodies. But
so
then
funny.
Michelle asked that like a similar one. Like, how do you?
Yeah, what's the easiest way to get past a gatekeeper? Okay, and guys, by the way, if you like this and want to just see some of the other stuff that I'm doing on average, we have a Facebook group. Justin and I just did a training in there. I think like 2 weeks ago. I think it was.
Yeah, it was like 2-3 weeks ago. Yeah.
You can join the group below. If you text me on the number, you'll also join the group too. We're doing a show today at 3 o'clock if you want to join us. The question was, how do you get past the gatekeeper? It's super different for every niche, to be very honest with you, but it just comes down to being very authentic. Like, hey, look, I know your job, right? I know your job is to make sure that, you get the right people in front of them. I want to be upfront. I am a vendor. Please don't hang up on me yet. Give me 1 second. Okay. I am going to be a vendor, but I'm a vendor in a different way. Okay. I'm a much smaller boutique company. I have proof and value that I can share, where there's no obligation or pressure whatsoever to actually have you pay me on any call that we do. My biggest model related to closing and sales is consultative approach. I'm going to share insight and value on things that you can do right now to increase your revenue, to get more reviews online, to show up better against your competition, whatever it is that you specifically have. All I need is 15 minutes of time if I can have it. I understand you're busy. I understand that it's hard to do, but I'm trying to provide for my family and doing the best I can. And if you can help me out, I'd really appreciate it. The providing for family line works really well for a lot of people, not always, obviously. Some people's job is just like, basically the attorney says, I don't give up what the sob story is. No one talks to me if they are a vendor. That's a real thing. So it's not necessarily the easiest thing to do. For me, by the way, if you're local, I'm a big believer of audacity sales and going in person. I sold probably 20 different attorneys from 2014 to 16, just going in person all the time. And I got rejected so many times, probably, I don't know, probably 50 times. And I sit here like all confident and everything, but I will tell you, going back into the car, getting rejected, never felt good. I was never happy with myself. I always felt like I was a loser and weak and uncomfortable, but man, 50 rejections to one yes, to one gatekeeper saying yes, one attorney letting you into their office and paying you, man, I would take 300 rejections. I mean, for God's sakes, it's crazy. It's like the craziest feeling ever. So I'm a big believer of audacity sales, particularly for younger entrepreneurs, to really get out of your comfort zone, because we live so much, Justin, in Zoom, particularly like after COVID. It's like, get out of there, man. Get outside, like go see what you can do. Challenge yourself. Remember that comment I made earlier, and we could wrap with this. Like, you suffer so much more in imagination than you do in reality. It's true. It really, really is. And so often all you have to do is just have the perspective of the things prior in your life that were such a big deal, such a big scare, such a big worry. And you thought it was this biggest deal in the world, but it really ended up being this, and you overcame it and you were fine. And I use that perspective a lot. And I use my surgery a lot for me too, like very transparently, as we talked about multiple times on this call, because man, if I could deal with that shit, I could deal with anything. And I deal with stress and anxiety a lot. I've spoken to Justin about it personally, because I'm a very transparent, honest person, wear my heart on my sleeve kind of guy. I'm not perfect. I'm not sanctimonious. I'm not doing everything right, but I know I do a lot of good things. I know I help a lot of people. I know I make a big difference for a lot of people. I know I'm doing the best I possibly can. And I know that I've overcome a lot of challenges in my life, and I'll keep doing that. And that's what gives me confidence. And that's what should give all of you confidence. Failure is only quitting. None of you are quitting. You got this. I believe in you. If I can do anything to help you, I'll always be there for you. You got a great, great, great team in your corner with IPPC. Justin is genuinely one of the most incredible human beings I've ever met in this space. Such a genuinely amazing person, cares so much about you guys. It's awesome to see. I'm very grateful for the platform, Justin. I can't wait to see you next month, man. It's going to be awesome. For everyone else, thanks so much for the time. I love all of you. It was great seeing you, even though I didn't see any of you, which is weird, but good seeing your names.
Yeah, I saw those names.
Maybe.
Awesome, Alex. Thank you so much. And